Hello, I'm Wes Allen. The Perkins Center for Preaching Excellence started the What's a Preacher to Do interview series to discuss preaching in the midst of the coronavirus pandemic. While we had hoped that the pandemic would be winding down by now, it actually seems to be ramping up in many areas of the country and across the world. And preachers need to continue to think about how to address it. So today we have with us Dr. Valerie Bridgeman. She's Dean and Vice President for Academic Affairs at Methodist Theological School in Ohio, and she teaches in the areas of homiletics and Hebrew Bible. But her real claim to fame is that she grew up only 10 miles from where I grew up. And now here we are, just a few years later, 1,000 miles away from each other, chatting on Zoom. So Valerie, welcome. What is one key insight from your areas of expertise that you think would be helpful to preachers these days?
Well, so I kind of have three, and thank you, first of all, for inviting me to be in this conversation. But I think given everything that's going on, particularly around this pandemic, I think there are three things preachers need to really focus in on and give some insight to. One is clarity, a prophetic voice that cuts through all the noise to say what is really going on here from a gospel perspective, to try to figure out what that is from week to week and to cut through, the 24/7 news cycle.
Yeah.
The second is to give people space for grief and lament in the Christian way, what that means to, and in any way, what that means to give people space for what they feel they've lost, what is troubling them, the grief they feel for the people who've died, but also the things that they expected to happen in 2020 that didn't get to happen, graduations, marriages, those kinds of things. And then finally, to speak a word of hope, and to really speak in a Christian word of hope. And here, I don't mean everything's going to be all right, but what do we do in the face of grief and pain? Have we any hope within us? Kind of thing from a hymn I heard growing up. So those three things to me seem to be very much something that should be in rotation regularly for preachers in this moment.
That's perfect. Thank you. And I can tell your homiletical training because you had 3 points. So you wrapped everything up. We missed the point. Maybe that'll come. But because I know you write some poetry. But anyway, I've got a follow-up question. So we as a culture are also dealing with our centuries-old pandemic of racism right now with new vigor in ways that we hope may represent a tipping point. Would your 3 points, your advice, apply to addressing anti-racist concerns in the pulpit as well?
Sure, I think so. I mean, I think that giving people this kind of so again, cutting through the words and giving people some space to grieve what they think they're losing. I always think to myself that people never believe they're gaining something. That's what the hope is after they've lost something. So helping people, no matter where they start this journey, helping people see that clearly as a gospel project is definitely also can be used, these three resources. Yeah.
So a prophetic word, opportunities to lament, and a word of hope.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Valerie.
You're welcome.